Hello everyone and welcome to Bullion 79. My name is Goldi and today we're diving into a critical topic, a very important topic, inflation. What is it and why is it harmful? And how does a government benefit from it? And then a burning question that many of you have, can the Federal Reserve lower inflation? Let's unravel that mystery. But before we start, please don't forget to like and share this video and of course press the bell button so you don't miss any of our newest future videos. Alright, so what exactly is inflation? So contrary to common belief, it's not just the rise in prices. That's merely a symptom. Inflation is the result of increased demand in the economy when there's more money in circulation. So let me put this into perspective with a simple analogy. Imagine an island full of monkeys with only one banana. This banana becomes highly priced due to its scarcity. But what if we flood the island with thousands of bananas? Suddenly, each banana's value plummets. That's exactly how increasing the money supply devalues each unit of currency in a system. So if 1,000 units of currency suddenly become 10,000 units, the value of each unit decreases significantly. That's the basics of inflation. But inflation isn't just inflation. Different actions lead to different types of inflation. For example, quantitative easing primarily inflates asset prices. In contrast, actions like the distribution of stimulus checks, like we had in 2020, lead to the general inflation we're experiencing right now. And then the inflation starts by impacting basic goods and gradually trickles down through the supply chain. Take the energy sector as an example. In 2021, it was the best performing sector because energy costs are an input cost that affect everything from production to shipping. As energy prices rise, so do the costs of various products and services. Understanding the business cycle is key to grasping inflation's role in the economy. The cycle is divided by two main factors. Those are interest rates and inflation. In a boom phase, like a recovery period, we see low inflation and low interest rates. This environment benefits sectors like tech and speculative assets due to the availability of cheap money. But when inflation starts to go up, rise, and peak, the Federal Reserve steps in, raising interest rates and signaling a shift from the boom phase to the recession phase in our short-term debt cycle. The Federal Reserve's primary goal in this cycle is to control inflation by manipulating interest rates. As they increase rates, we move into a depression phase with falling inflation and rising interest rates. Eventually, as the situation stabilizes and inflation falls to an acceptable level, interest rates are lowered, signaling a return to the economic growth phase. And the cycle begins from anew. But there's a catch. During a recessionary period, to promote saving and curb spending, interest rates need to be higher than the inflation rate. For example, if you borrowed $100 at 1% interest in a 2% inflation scenario, that means that the repaid money has less purchasing power, effectively reducing the lender's return. So the interest you're getting has to be above the inflation rate, for the lender at least, to make his money back. But why does a government favor a bit of inflation? It's because mild inflation lessens the value of government debt. Deflation is often misunderstood and mixed up with the term disinflation. Deflation, or a decrease in the general price levels of goods and services, is rare, especially in a fiat debt-based system. In a debt-based system, deflation is seen unfavorable because it diminishes tax receipts and economic activity. It also increases the relative burden of government debt. Imagine earning $50,000 and then suddenly only getting $40,000 a year. The existing debt you're having suddenly feels heavier, right? That's why governments, which are heavily reliant on debt, really do not like deflation. Alright, so to go back to our original question, can the Federal Reserve tame inflation? Unfortunately, the answer is no, as the Fed can't resolve an issue it didn't cause. The current rate of inflation is primarily due to government spending. Quantitative easing causes asset inflation, and the general inflation that we're experiencing, when you go to the grocery store and you see increased prices, stems from direct monetary support to the population and overall government spending. The government's overspending is a political issue and needs a political solution. You cannot have an economic solution to a problem in politics, and vice versa. If the government doesn't continue raising the debt ceiling, they face default on their debt, essentially admitting bankruptcy. But simply raising interest rates isn't a silver bullet for inflation either, because the interest rate needs to be higher than the inflation rate to effectively encourage saving over spending. So if interest rates rise too much, servicing the national debt becomes prohibitively expensive for an already bankrupt government. With current rates around 5%, about $1 trillion is required just to service the debt annually, while the government's annual income from all sources is just about $5 trillion. So lowering rates could lead to an economic mania, pushing rates up and increasing inflation even faster. Ultimately, all paths seem to lead to higher inflation. No matter what the Fed does, increasing rates, lowering rates, or leaving rates where they are, they all lead to the same outcome. All roads lead to higher inflation. While all this is happening, you might notice various tactics used to make the inflation rate appear lower than it actually is. This allows the government to continue its spending patterns. The Federal Reserve's primary role in this is to maintain public confidence, to make everyone believe that everything is under control. There are several accounting tricks to downplay the actual inflation rate, but that's a complex topic and we will discuss that in another video. So there you have it. So we dived into what inflation actually is and how different actions lead to different types of inflation. We went over the business cycle and how it works, and we discussed the limitations of the Federal Reserve to control inflation. I hope you learned something, and thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And again, don't forget to press the bell button, like and follow to not miss any of our newest videos. Thank you very much. Cheers.